Kingdom Hearts Re-Chain of Memories, ReCoM for short, is in a very odd place for me personally as an avid fan of Kingdom Hearts. Full disclosure, before the making of this video, I had never actually played through ReCoM myself, just watched cutscenes and story recaps on YouTube. I know, it seems like heresy to avid fans, but when replaying the series, I always wanted to jump straight from Kingdom Hearts 1 into Kingdom Hearts 2, and since I knew what happened in ReCoM, it felt pointless to actually play through the game. After playing through ReCoM, I realized how stupid of a decision it was to leave it behind. I was missing out on finer details, nuance, and much more that story recap videos simply can't cover while still remaining brief. On top of that, I'd cut myself off from experiencing a unique and innovating, if a little broken, combat system. I won't be discussing the GBA game in this video, just the re-release, as ReCoM seems to be touted as the definitive version of the game. Re-Chain of Memories takes place directly after the events at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, following up the final cutscene where Sora, Donald, and Goofy are seen wandering in this crossroads area, which, if I'm not mistaken on my Kingdom Hearts lore, is supposed to be the realm between? Regardless, SDG are brought to Castle Oblivion, a mysterious palace in the void, by Marluxia of the Organization. They're told that they have conveniently forgotten every spell and ability they ever knew, and they have to play by the castle's rules now, which means using cards to navigate and defend themselves. More on that later. Marluxia forgets to let Sora and gang know how many times people are going to say the game's title while they're inside Castle Oblivion.
Chain of memories.
Chains of the memories. Chains of your own memories.
Kingdom Hearts.
Chain of memories.
Oh my god.
Always.
They're also told some cryptic shit about memory, which, let me sum this up for you the best that I can. The further they go into the castle, the more memories they're going to lose, and Sora just so happens to be forgetting about Kairi for some reason. Huh. Odd. Well, it's not as odd once you discover that Marluxia has a plan, one to overthrow the organization. Well, what is the organization? I have no idea, but throw it in because it sounds cool and we'll explain it in the next game. Marluxia's plan is to use Namine, a witch with the ability to control memories, to manipulate Sora into being his puppet to take down the organization, as the Keyblade wielder is a unique and interesting threat, for now. Namine begins slowly filtering out Sora's memories of Kairi, replacing them with memories of herself, to eventually turn Sora to Marluxia's side. Riku repeatedly gets in Sora and gang's way time and time again, seemingly having his memories replaced as well to further convince Sora and the player that Namine was the one they both wanted to protect, not Kairi. However, a member of the mysterious organization known as Axel is sent in as a sleeper agent of sorts to nip the mutiny in the bud and screws up all of Marluxia's plans by killing Vexen.
Goodbye.
And letting Namine run free to speak to Sora and stop manipulating his memories as well. Around this time, the player also learns that the Riku we've been seeing is actually a replica artificially fitted with his memories, created by Vexen in an experiment, so anything is on the table in this series from this point onwards. This all culminates in Sora and gang killing Larxene in cold blood, then doing the exact same thing to Marluxia, and the look that Sora gives Marluxia as he's dying is brutal here, which lets me segue nicely into my next point I want to talk about, Sora's attitude in this game. Normally, we know Sora as the happy-go-lucky, carefree, impossible-to-frustrate goofball. That's what makes him as a character, so to see him in this game get genuinely frustrated,
Where are you? Don't you dare hide from me! Show yourself!
genuinely upset,
Keep it to yourself!
and even straight up look like he feels no remorse about killing Marluxia or even Larxene, it's a rare glimpse into Sora that we don't get to see often, and I kinda love it. At the very least, it makes Sora a little less one-dimensional. After, Namine gives Sora a choice between keeping his memories of the castle or regaining his old memories, because with the screwing around that she's done, he can't have both. And Sora very quickly responds that he wants the latter, in a rather decisive move. Sora's story ends with him, Donald, and Goofy choosing to sleep to regain all of their memories, and it almost perfectly fills in the gap between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2. Then we have Riku's part, which fittingly takes place in the shadows, and the game dubs Reverse Rebirth. Why? I don't know. Him and King Mickey also got pulled to Castle Oblivion somehow, Diz, but instead being pulled to the basement and working their way up to the ground floor. Riku's story showcases his inner struggle with his darkness, or more aptly, with Ansem. It deals with a very unique position that Riku finds himself in, struggling on the cusp of light and dark, and further solidifies the reasons he finds himself in the spot of being my favorite character. Riku's story also shows us how good his sense of smell is, which is apparently very good.
The Ansem in my heart smells darker. That scent. I smell you, Ansem. You reek of darkness. I knew when I met you. You and Kairi smell the same.
What kind of nose you got? Don't even get me started on how many times they say the word darkness. Riku's story ends with him conquering his inner darkness in the form of a battle with Ansem, which fucking sucks to fight by the way, and neither fully accepting light or dark, opting to become a grey Jedi of sorts in the Kingdom Hearts universe and, in his own words, telling Diz that instead of traveling the road to light or the road to darkness,
it's the road to dawn.
God, Riku is so fucking cool. Speaking of Riku, what should people do to this video before I transition to talking about the gameplay?
Like it!
I don't know about you guys, but Riku is spitting facts here. Let's talk about the gameplay now. Whatever you want to call it, Yu-Gi-Oh, Heart of the Cards, Deadly, Solitaire, Bull, it's definitely unique. Everything you do in this game requires the use of cards. Cards that you use in battle are numbered 0 through 9 and work on a pretty basic system. The highest number will always win, unless a 0 is played, which will beat anything but can also be beaten by anything. Slates, which allow you to stack up to 3 cards together to obtain higher numbers, add a risk versus reward nuance to the system. Slate numbers can get very high, meaning they can only get broken by a 0 or an opposing slate, and some of the moves you can do when creating slates can dish out a lot of damage. The main drawback of slates is supposed to be that the first card in a slate becomes unable to be reloaded, but this downside is easily mitigated by high potions and mega ethers. The real downside is that zeros reign supreme, and trying to do anything cool against a boss ends with them instantly shuffling to 0 and shutting your slate down before they perform one of their own. Which brings me to my next point. As cool as this game's combat system is, it's broken. Like, badly broken. When I first started playing, I tried to do a mixture of melee, magic, and summons, and that lasted all the way up to the Vexen fight, where I got so tired of bosses breaking my combos and f***ing me over and shuffling through their deck 10 times faster than I could that I decided to learn how to break the game out of pure spite. So here's the segment of the video where I explain to you how to break this game's combat, or at least how I broke it. First things first, for bosses, you want to make sure that you have every 0 numbered Keyblade card you own in your deck, and only that number for Keyblade cards. Then load up on high numbered magic cards, a few cures, ethers, and mega ethers, then spam triangle to break the boss's regular cards with magic slates. And when they start building their own slate, shuffle back to your 0 Keyblade cards and break their slate for sweet revenge. If you do this well enough, you can even beat most bosses without ever getting hit, because they don't even get a chance to attack. It was cathartic to build a deck that could do this, to say the least. Until you get to Riku's part and you aren't even allowed to build your own deck because that would be too much fun, and his cards change every 5 seconds, and boss battles are really decided by a new mechanic called card duels, where the best strategy I could find was spamming X until I won the duel from sheer brute force, then rinse and repeat to victory. Traversing through the worlds in this game is also decided by cards, following the same 0 through 9 rule but in a slightly different way. Sometimes gateways will ask for specific numbers, a sum of numbers less than or greater than, and it's up to you to choose what type of room you want to go through yourself based on the cards you have available at the time. This concept of building your own path forward so long as you have the cards for it is really cool, and weirdly enough is one of the highlights of the game for me. The story and most of the Disney worlds are just uninspired rehashes of whatever happened in Kingdom Hearts 1, with a spin put on them to make them relate to memories, so at least during the actual gameplay there is a neat mechanic to keep you engaged. At least one of the stories is actually interesting though, where Oogie Boogie drinks a memory potion and goes insane.
This drink weak as hell. Wait.
And there's also the fact that no one seems to comment on Sora, Donald, and Goofy just walking around underwater in Atlantica. Seriously, no one even mentions this. It's just shrugged off because the devs didn't want to model and implement gameplay for one world, which is understandable, but it's just laughable that no one even bats an eye at Sora, Donald, or Goofy walking on the ocean floor. So much for the world order or whatever.
Right, the world order.
One thing I will say about the cutscenes for some of the Disney worlds is that they are pretty funny. Like this scene of Sally getting her shit rocked by Oogie Boogie, or Pooh getting flattened by a giant rolling pumpkin. Most of the time though, you're just struggling through to get to the next actually important cutscene at the start of the next floor. I had a surprising amount of fun and equal amounts of frustration with CoM, but to experience everything that the game had to offer for the first time as a Kingdom Hearts veteran, I definitely enjoyed it. The characters all had different subtle parts of their characterization that later games were slightly lacking in, if only because they were built up so well in this game. Thanks for everything, CoM, and playing this game all the way through only makes me more excited for the next step in the journey, Kingdom Hearts 2. Thanks so much for watching.